Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we start some geraniums from seed. So let's go. It's the middle of January, and to be honest with you, I wasn't planning on doing any geraniums from seed this year for the simple reason that I have lots of geraniums that I dug up last fall and I'm storing them dormant, bare root, in my basement. And so I figured I had plenty of geraniums. I don't need to start any from seed. But when I was cleaning my garage yesterday, I had some seeds out there that I collected during the fall time, and I didn't realize, but I did collect some geranium seeds. I didn't film it. I didn't make a video showing you how to collect the seeds from a geranium plant, but one of my goals for this year is in the fall, I'll definitely make some videos showing you how to collect your own seeds from a geranium plant. It's actually pretty easy. So I figured today we might as well just get started and plant these geranium seeds, and they will bloom whenever they bloom. They do take a long time to bloom, so you definitely want to start your geranium seeds early. And even though I collected my own geranium seeds, it's still not too late. You can still buy them online. You just have to look around, but there are a number of websites where you can buy your own geranium seeds. So right here is my packet of geranium seeds. And there are probably around 8 or so seeds in here. So I figured we might as well get them planted. When it comes to starting a lot of my seeds, I like to multi-sow them in trays, similar to this one right here. And I got this from a restaurant. It had food in it at one time, and I cleaned it out. And then I ended up making holes in the bottom of the tray. And it's just a great way to start a whole bunch of seeds without wasting a lot of space. What I also like about starting seeds in trays like this is that the seeds that are viable are going to be the ones that germinate. So let's say I put 20 seeds in here and only 10 were viable, then I'm going to be pricking out the 10 that are viable. And I'm not wasting any space when it comes to starting them under my grow lights. So this method has worked for me. However, when I'm making a lot of these videos with starting seeds, you can use whatever method works for you. If you'd prefer to start your seeds in 6-packs, for example, by all means, that's okay too. When it comes to potting mix, I prefer to use a seed starting mix. I feel like it's very light, very fluffy. But same thing, if you want to use some sort of a potting mix or something that works for you, by all means, you can do that. And in this big pot here is seed starting mix that I made myself. And I made a video showing you how to make your own seed starting mix. I'll be sure to put a link to it in the description below. And after I made the seed starting mix, I then put boiling hot water in here and sealed off the container just in case there were any fungus gnats. Oftentimes fungus gnats like to live inside of peat moss. And so I don't want to deal with fungus gnats. They somehow still make their way in the house, but one way to really eliminate that problem is by sterilizing my seed starting mix. And I'll be sure to put a link to that video in the description as well. So I have my laptop here, and I like to use a spreadsheet that I created and have modified over the years. And I'm just looking at information on the geranium. So basically, you want to start your geranium seeds about 12 to 16 weeks before your last frost. My last frost here in New Hampshire, Zone 5B, is typically sometime during the middle to end of May. So now is a perfect time for me to be starting these seeds. And typically, geraniums take between 91 to 105 days to bloom. So it's a long period of time. And when it comes to starting these seeds indoors, for sure, they're going to have to get bumped up from a small little container like this into a 6-pack and possibly even into probably a 3 or 4-inch pot. And that's okay. That's all part of starting plants like this from seed indoors. So I'm okay with playing the waiting game with this. So I'm going to go ahead and add some seed starting mix to this tray. And I've already pre-moistened the seed starting mix. I prefer to have it nice and moist beforehand. You can also moisten it afterwards if you prefer that, but I do prefer to pre-moisten it beforehand. I find that if I was to moisten it afterwards, a lot of times the water would just float on the top. So I like to have it mixed with water before I even put it in a tray like this. And I'm just putting just enough in here, but I want to leave some room for my seeds because these seeds do need to be planted at about 1 inch depth. So I'm just pushing down lightly. I made a lot of videos in the late summer, early fall on collecting seeds. And it's a lot of fun to actually collect your own seeds from geraniums. So I'm really looking forward to making that video later this season. So I'm going to show you a close-up look of what the seeds look like, just so you can see. And they're not terribly small. They're a good size. And I'm going to go ahead and just place them on the soil here. And because I don't have a ton of seeds, I'm actually only putting them on one side of this container so that I can then plant something else on the other side. And what I've learned when I'm planting a bunch of plants in a container like this is, personally, I like to check them almost every day. It's fun for me every morning before my breakfast with my coffee to just see what has germinated. So I will be checking these pretty much every day. And let's say on this side, I've planted geraniums, but on this side, I'm planting something different than geraniums. There's a chance that one of these variety of plants might germinate before the other variety, and that's okay. I'm going to be pricking them out and putting them into a bigger container. So I'm okay with putting multiple plants in one container like this. It's worked for me for years, so it just maximizes what I can do in a small tray like this. So the next thing we're going to do is we're now going to cover these geranium seeds that are on this side of this tag here with a little bit more of the seed starting mix. And I'm just lightly covering it. And it's about 1/8 of an inch deep. What I've learned with starting seeds is don't get too hung up on the depth. It is important, but you don't have to be 100% precise. There are some seeds that require darkness to germinate. There are some seeds that require light to germinate. And those are very important things to keep in mind. And typically, the bigger your seed, the deeper you're going to plant it. You're usually going to plant a seed about 1 to 2 times deeper than the size of the seed itself. So I've just pushed down on this seed starting mix right here. And I can tell that it's pretty wet because it's pre-moistened. But if you wanted to, you could just lightly spray this with water at this time as well. So we're going to go ahead and do that together just to do it. And this is huge. I know that they sell small ones, but this has worked for me. So I'm just going to keep on using this for now. And it's just a small hand pump or water pump. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this now. Just a little bit. And basically, the next thing you want to do is cover this with some sort of a humidity dome or something that lets light in and it traps in the moisture and keeps it very nice and humid, because seeds need that typically to germinate. You don't want the soil to dry out. And I just like to use regular old saran wrap. And I didn't mention it, but the geraniums that we're planting are zonal geraniums, and I'm almost positive the color is red. I did not have it labeled in the garage, but I'm almost sure they're a red zonal geranium. And the next thing I'm going to do is I just have a small garden marker here, and I'm going to label this side with zonal geranium. And what's nice is I can reuse this plastic wrap each time. And I like to put the date of when I planted these geraniums. And geraniums take about 1 week to germinate. And so I could do one of two things right now. I could put them directly under my grow lights, or I could put them in a different area that's not directly under grow lights. But since I'm checking them every day, as soon as I see them just barely starting to germinate, at that time they have to go under the grow lights, because you don't want your seedlings to be leggy. And also at that time, when they start germinating, this plastic wrap will come off. And it can get tricky. So whatever I plant on this side of the tray should also be something that germinates in about 7 days. I don't want to put something on this side of the tray that takes, let's say, a month to germinate. So that's one of the big reasons why you might not want to put a whole bunch of different plants in one tray. But I will just plant something else on this side that I feel confident is going to come up within a week, something like lettuce or something like that. So what I'm going to do now is put this on a heat mat. In my house, the house temperature is generally pretty warm. During the daytime, I would say it's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And at nighttime, it gets down to about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. But I still want to put this on a heat mat just to germinate things a little bit faster. So I'm going to show you where that is. Let's go there next. So over here, I have a heat mat and it is plugged in. It has a thermostat and it doesn't get any warmer than 75. It generally stays somewhere in the 70 to 73-degree range. And I'm just going to go ahead and put these geraniums on the heat mat and I'll be checking them every day. And as soon as they start coming through and I see germination happening, they're going to go right under my grow lights. I love geraniums. I think they're beautiful. And if you've been following my channel, then you would have seen in the fall when I dug up my geraniums and showed you how to store them bare root in like a cool area that doesn't freeze. And so I will put a link to that video down below. My goal is with these geraniums that we just started to let them grow, let them get bigger, let's enjoy them. But then, same thing, I will be digging them up in the fall and storing them bare root for next winter. So why not add to the collection? And I think it's fun to collect your own seeds and start things from seed. It's a fun experiment. It's fun for me to show you how to do it. So I will keep you posted. I'll definitely be making videos on what the next step is now that we've just planted those seeds, because there are a number of steps that we need to do together from now until it's time to plant them out in the landscape. I'd love to hear from you. How about you? Have you ever started geraniums from seed? And I really want to know, have you ever collected seeds from a geranium plant? It's a little tricky. It's possible, but I definitely will be showing you the signs of what to look for, because once you start collecting your own geranium seeds, it's actually quite fun. I have a lot of seeds that I still need to start, so you definitely don't want to miss out. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.